everyone, welcome back to the Wildflower Pages Yoga and Wellness. My name is Paige and today we're going to workshop probably one of the most common or more common postures that we use in the yoga practice, particularly if you practice Vinyasa yoga, and it is the downward facing dog posture or Adho Mukha Svanasana in Sanskrit. And so today, if you struggle with this pose or you'd like to pick up some tips on how you can improve your practice, then watch this video. Okay, so before we jump into workshopping this posture and I'm showing you the physical demonstration, let's talk about some of the benefits of this pose. So when you look at the downward facing dog position, you'll notice that you're in an inverted variation. So you're upside down pretty much. The body is also in a triangle shape and the spine is nice and long, and quite often so are the legs. Sometimes the heels are on the earth, sometimes the knees are bent and the heels are lifted. So what this does is it helps to assist our blood to flow, really rejuvenating the body, the brain, the nervous system, and then the actual stretch that you get in the position is really nice. So you'll notice dogs do it when they're waking up from a nap. It's because it feels really good. So we lengthen the spine, feels really nice. Lengthen the hamstrings, stretch out the legs. You also open the shoulders here. And one of the added benefits of practicing this posture regularly is you also build your upper body strength. So you can begin to do more arm balance type postures or postures that require you to sustain a lot of your body weight on your upper body. So some of the difficulties that some people experience with this posture is pain in the wrists and then also not being able to reach the heels on the earth or stretch out the hamstrings. And there's ways that we can work around both of these things. Just know that always do what feels good and safe in your body. So let's jump into workshopping. So to move into the posture, I always like to begin in this tabletop position, finding my base with my hands and my feet. So stacking the hands beneath the shoulders, shoulder distance wide. We spread the fingers and really press the palms into the earth, and particularly the index fingers and thumbs. Next, you'll stack your knees beneath your hips and your feet will also be hip distance wide. Sometimes we can teach this posture with the feet together, but in my body it feels better, and I think for beginners as well, to have the knees hip distance wide. So what you're going to do here is get really stable in the hands. As I said, press the fingers and the palms into the earth, and you can play around with how stable you are just by sort of pressing your weight into the earth and noticing if you slip at all in the hands. Sometimes you might need to try a different mat. You can use a yoga towel or just practice on a different surface. I have another mat that I always remove when I do this posture because it's a bit slippery, especially if you're doing a heated class. And then we're going to press the hands into the earth. We're going to tuck our toes here. And as you breathe out, send your seat bones back to the heels. You'll notice that you're beginning to stretch and open up through the chest here. Take a breath. And then on your next exhalation, pressing the palms into the earth as well as the tops of the toes, you're going to lift the seat bones directly towards the sky. And this keeps your spine nice and long here. Now, if you're feeling a bit crammed and like you don't have enough space to move into in this posture, you might need to walk your hands forward a little more. And you'll notice that I'm starting with my knees bent here. And this is because often we're quite tight in the hamstrings from the get-go unless you've done other postures that help to stretch this area out. So pressing my hands into the earth, I'm just going to begin by pedaling out my heels while I set up my upper body. So feeling any pressure or discomfort in the wrists, I always recommend to send your seat bones further towards the back of the room, taking the weight out of the wrist. You'll notice in your body that this feels more even, like the weight is more evenly distributed. That's what we're aiming for here. And then as I send my seat bones back to the heels, you'll also notice that my chest is moving towards the earth. Now this is key here in keeping the spine nice and long and also opening the shoulders, so getting a really nice stretch in both of those areas. And then breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose, nice and deep, nice and long and slow. With each exhalation, I focus on sinking my chest just a bit more. And then once I've found that I'm really comfortable here, then I'm going to find stillness with my heels. Now, if you can maintain the length of your spine without arching into the back, you can begin to press your heels towards the earth here. Maybe they touch on the mat, maybe they don't. So I'm stretching out the hamstrings. Feels really good. If you press your heels towards the earth and you're finding that you're having to round into your back, what I would recommend is that you keep a bend in the knees. Focus on keeping the spine nice and long. And then if you can do this without compromising the integrity, you can begin to work your heels towards the earth. So that's my variation for if you're really tight in the hamstrings. Make sure you keep the spine nice and long. If you send the weight in the body backwards to make it more even and the seat bones backwards in space and you're still feeling discomfort in the wrist, then you can do another modification here where we simply keep the knees grounded and then we take our shape, pressing the chest towards the earth, stacking the seat bones over the knees here, or the hips over the knees. You might have to walk yourself backwards a little on your mat so that you fit. And then here we keep the spine nice and long, so our gaze is looking between the knees or along the mat. So same situation if you're in the full variation, gazing between the knees, the shins, and wherever is comfortable, keeping the spine nice and long. Another option for taking the weight out of the wrist is moving into a forearm variation. So this can be a little bit stronger on the upper body, but if that's what you're wanting to work, strengthen your upper body, then this might be a really good option for you. So what you're going to do is find that tabletop position and then walk your hands forward just a little. You can come from the downward facing dog shape, but if you bring your forearms to the earth so that your shoulders are stacked over your elbows, you can begin from here. So with the downward facing dog version, we're in our downward dog shape for a couple of seconds. We've got our space, our distance between the hands of the feet nice and comfortable. And then we simply bend the knees, bring the elbows towards the earth. And then here what you want to do is measure that you've got 1 forearm's length width between the elbows, just so that you're sure that they're stacked underneath the shoulders nice and comfortably. And then from here, press the palms into the earth as if you're moving into your full variation. You're going to tuck your toes. And then as you breathe out, you're going to send the seat bones towards the sky. And then here we're focusing on pressing the chest towards the earth. So you'll notice I'm over my shoulders here. I'm going to move my head back in space. And you can pedal out the heels here, or you can keep the knees bent, or you can work the legs towards straight. You'll notice my heels don't touch on the earth yet, but whatever works for you. So this is another option that you can work. You'll really work your upper body strength here. You might need to take a couple of rests in child's pose, a couple of breaths in between, moving into and out of that shape, just to get nice and comfortable and used to it. But that's another option for you. So that's your downward facing dog. So that's what I like to teach with my downward facing dog position or Adho Mukha Svanasana, particularly for beginners. I really like to focus on making sure that the weight is out of the wrist by sending the seat bones back. As you breathe out, send the chest towards the earth, keep the spine nice and long. And then if you can keep your spine nice and long, then you can begin to extend your legs and heels towards the mat. We're always working towards in yoga. There's no arriving or achieving. There's always more work to be done. So if you can't reach your heels towards the earth, don't worry about it. Just keep working on it and eventually you might get there. If you can't keep your spine nice and long, I always recommend keeping a slight bend in the knees and focusing on sending that chest towards the earth. Open your upper body, feel the effects of the lengthening of the spine, and you'll also probably feel a stretch in the hamstrings even with the knees slightly bent, because you might be that little bit tighter. So I hope you enjoyed this workshop and you picked up lots of good tips. If you liked it, please let me know below in the comments, share it with your friends. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you'd like to join me for a live class, head over to the website and check out our other offerings there, as well as free recorded videos and pricing plan subscriptions. Follow me on social media at the Wildflower Paiges on both Facebook and Instagram, and I hope to see you next time on the mat. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Namaste.